Hello and welcome to Dan Talks United. Yes, we're back. It's 3-1 against Aston Villa, back at home. Carrick bounces back. This is what we needed. Solidify that third spot. We've got some breathing space now between Villa. It's Carrick. You know, it's hard to believe it's not Scholes. Come on. This is what we need. May not have been ultimately the best game in the world, but we played well overall, and we'll get into things. We'll get into the first half. We'll get into the second half analysis. We'll talk about who is the man of the match, so get that ready as well for those that are watching. We'll talk about players that have played well as well. Then we'll also do just a look at the table and just a bit of the match stats as well. And yeah, we're back. Like we say, we're back. We're in that third position, solidified, and hopefully, I mean, I don't want to say it too early, but hopefully that just gives us the cushion we need to definitely get that European spot now. Obviously, our target is top 5. We're in third position. I said, one eye on Villa, said we're coming for Villa. We've come for Villa. We've caught them up. We're leveling points. But today, as they call it, like a 6-pointer, and I'll be say a 6-pointer when you're going up against your rival in a sense. And we've done it today. Looked a bit dicey at times, but the main thing is that we've got the 3 points on the board, and it was convincing in the end. And that's the main thing for me. So just to get into that first half then, like I say, 3-1, Old Trafford. Sort of started off, I thought, in the first half pretty well to begin with, because normally it can be a little bit cagey, but let's just have a drink here. Beautiful. It can start off a little bit slow at times. I think we don't particularly start games that well, but I thought we were going for it today. So it was decent sort of tempo at the start of the game. Sort of couple of early chances, or should I say a couple of sort of decent passes into the box, crosses into the box. So Shaw, I mean, obviously I've been a critic of Shaw. I think Shaw's a decent player, but I've been a critic of Shaw recently at times here and there. Didn't particularly think he played well in that last game, but going up that wing down the left, and this is the reason why I've never really questioned him from a defensive point of view. It's always been about going forward for me. I don't think he's really been the same. I always say this. I don't think he's been the same going forward, that is, since he had that leg break many moons ago. So it was nice to see him advance down that left-hand side and an early cross. And I think he has got a decent cross on him, Shaw. So I'd like to see that more. And this is all I want from my fullbacks. I've said this before. I want this from the fullbacks. Fine. The first and foremost, it's about defending well. First and foremost, let's get the basics right. We've been saying this across the board anyway, and with Carrick coming in, putting things back to basics, putting players in their favoured positions, that's what you've got to do effectively, and that first. Then what I also want is that wing play, and I've been saying this, you just want that wing play, want the sort of wide men, or the fullbacks, or both, to sort of get down those wings and get those crosses in. And unfortunately, we didn't really have that sort of person in the box, that target man. And obviously, you sort of sat there watching it, willing that Sesko was on, because obviously a lot of those crosses that came into that box were sort of made definitely for a number 9. And obviously, you think Sesko could eat some of this up. And obviously, people like Mbumo and Burmo and Cunha and Ahmad are not really used to those sort of darting runs that you need in the box to be alive and be alert when the ball comes across. But anyway, it was good to see a sort of almost like a different attitude. And I think Carrick would have got into them enough time to sort of recover from that loss against Newcastle, which is still embarrassing, still disappointing to lose that, especially against 10 men. But it's all about, could we bounce back from that defeat? Can we come back from that defeat? And obviously we're playing at home, which is good and is an advantage, but we lost many games at home, lost many records at home. So it's not nailed on that I was going to win this game today at home, although I predicted a 2-1, so it went far off. I just think, as I said before though, Villa have not been great. They haven't been great recently, and I always said we're going to catch up to them, because obviously with them having some of their midfield out, they've really struggled with that, having that sort of kingpin in the middle of their midfield. And Onana's there, but it's not quite the same as having like a Tillemans, for example, or Kamara, who's been really good for him as well. And McGinn was being out injured and he's come back now. So they've really struggled without having that central area. And we've always said that, even for ourselves as Manchester United, we've got to get that midfield solidified and have the right elements in that midfield, because in many games, it's the midfield that's going to win you that game or prevent you from losing that game. And again, battle of the midfield today. There was times where our midfield would bypass, but we'll come into stuff like that. But ultimately, Meno and Casemiro has done enough against Onana, for example. So, like I say, first half, good sort of start. Like I say, quite promising that Shaw was doing that early sort of run down the left-hand side there. And again, if anybody's in here, please put your comments in. Please tell me how you think the game went. It's not all just about me and what I'm saying. So, and I appreciate there's a lot of people that are probably enjoying Mother's Day today, so we're not going to be very long today. We just want to do a really quick recap of the game and enjoy that win and what that means for us in the league as well. So, sort of 10 minutes in, Villa had some sort of like strange sort of free kick. Probably shouldn't have had the free kick, to be fair, but again, we sort of played ourselves into that. But fortunately for us anyway, they pissed about a little bit and Dalot ends up sort of intercepting that. So obviously it came to nothing. So 12 minutes in, Watkins on the break, but Maguire covers really well for Yoro. So Yoro was sort of running up with him, but then Maguire just comes across and, like I say, we'll come on to who's played well and all that sort of stuff, but it was good to see that coverage, because sometimes I think players sort of get a bit confused and don't know whether to come or go, but I think you've got to look out for your partners there. You've got to look out for your colleagues there, and I think you've got Yoro and Maguire at the back, centre-backs. They need to work out each other's game. Obviously, this is Yoro's first proper sort of season in a sense, and he needs to get used to things, and obviously Maguire is the experienced head in this scenario. 16 minutes in then, Cunha has a good run down the left-hand side and crossed him, but Ahmad couldn't get on the end of it. So again, this is where you're just hoping that you had a Sesko on the pitch. But having said that, a lot of the times when we have got Sesko on the pitch, we don't seem to get this many crosses coming into the box. I'm sat there watching a game thinking, this is made for a number 9. This is made for a Sesko to just eat up some of these chances. Now, I'm not saying he's going to score them all, but it's just to be on the pitch, to take advantage of the ball coming into the box. I've said it before, I'm not sure how good he is in the air, Sesko. He scored a really good goal. The last goal he scored, when he scored from a header. But we don't really know because the ball doesn't come into the box enough for me. But today, I thought there's quite a lot of crosses today, and I think Carrick must have spoken to the lads saying, come on now, we need to create chances. It can't all just be on Bruno, just looking for that threaded pass. It's got to be some crosses into the box, got to be some wing play. We need to get the balls into the box early and put Villa on the back foot, and I think we did do that at times. And then Dalot, again, I've been on his back at times, but again, I have said the past few games there's been times where he's put a lovely cross into the box, and I thought he did do that after sort of 20-minute period of time, sort of lovely cross into the box. But again, no movement. So you got Burma, I believe, was sort of playing as that sort of, call it false 9, and he will rotate between, I think Ahmad got into the box quite a bit, but rotate between Cunha at times to advance into the box and cause a problem for Villa's defence. And obviously, you've got players like Mings, and I've never rated Mings. I think Mings is horrible. And I think if you've got a player like Mings, you've got to go at him. And he's been injured for a long period of time as well. I think Konsa is a good defender, but Mings is terrible. So you've got to go for it, and you've got to keep attacking for me. So like I say, 21 minutes in, roughly, ball played back in from a corner. Ahmad heads it goalwards, and it was a good header, considering it's Ahmad and his size and everything. And I've always said Ahmad is good on the ball, got good strength, to be fair, is deceiving. To be fair, he's a lot better in the air than you'd expect. I remember, I think it was his first season when he first came and he did like a bit of a looping header in the Champions League, I think it was, or Europa League, one of the two, and sort of scored over the keeper. And he's better in the air than you imagine, but Martinez was equal to it. And again, I've said before, and he was a keeper that I wanted in the summer because I think he's a decent keeper, but very happy with Le Mans. So I'm not going to say anything there. But Martinez, got to give him his flowers there. Really good save. You could say that it's routine because it wasn't in the corner or anything, but I think Ahmad did as much as he could do with that opportunity. So no complaints there. It's a shame that it didn't go slightly to Martinez's right, but it was a good header overall anyway. So around 26 minutes, because it was a little bit sort of cagey at times and sort of cancelling each other out, but then we did start to pick up play here and there. And this is one thing that I can say definitely, since I know we did do some nice play under Amorim, so you can't say we've not played nice football at times under other coaches, but one sort of staple under Carrick has been the passages of play here and there. It's not been consistent, it's not been for a long periods of time, but there's been nice passages of play. As we said before, when we've basically created a song with some Boomer, Ahmad, Cunha, that sort of thing, Bruno, Ahmad, and he's sort of making a song from it. We've created that by good passing triangles, for example, good sort of rondos, that have been straight off the training pitch. So again, really good play, intricate play around 26 minutes, just didn't amount to anything, unfortunately. Didn't really fashion a chance from that. It was just a little bit like what we have been doing, to be fair, where I wouldn't say Villa were playing a low block or anything, but just to say as an example is that it felt sometimes like we were playing against a low block where we struggled to break the team down. So we get to the final third and then we just can't quite figure out what the right pass is, whether it be a cross or a threaded through ball. And obviously, when you're in those situations, it can't just be on one player like a Bruno to knit it all together. It's good that he does that in most occasions, but you do want other players to chip away at that as well, really, and get involved. So around 28 minutes, I think it was Villa on the attack, and there was a really nice cross into the box, to be fair. I can't remember which player it was that crossed into the box, but Yoro was equal to it and a nice header out. And obviously, he has had a few mistakes in the last sort of few games, Yoro, but I think if he plays games, I know there's some people that feel he's not worth it, because obviously the price we paid when he brought him in was quite high, to be fair. We did that to beat off the challenger of Real Madrid, and we felt it was necessary to do that to get a player that could be generational. I'm not sure that that's going to happen, but it was looking promising as a sort of young player coming through the ranks in France. Now, I just think he needs a bit of time. I've said it before. Don't think that he played particularly well in the Amorim system. I just don't think he works that well in a sort of back three, back five. I think he's traditional centre back of a two and a back four, and I think we'll start to see that a lot more from Yoro. Then 35 minutes, Casemiro, quite a deep cross from Casemiro, but again, nobody on the end of it. And this is the thing. So I'm getting what I want up until sort of like the last point, in a sense, really. So I'm getting what I want in the terms of crosses into the box, chances being created. It's just having players being wise to that. And it's not a gamble, really. It's not a gamble for Mbeumo to run into the box, because you're gaining, you're not losing out. It's not a gamble. You just need to get into that box and get on the end of things and give a reason for that ball to be played into the box. And I think sometimes it's good if players just keep doing the same thing, because that builds consistency where you continue to play the ball into the box. And if nobody's there, you've done your job. And I believe in that needs to keep happening, so that where you have got players starting to get on the wavelength, or you've got the forward players that want to get in that box and get on the end of it, you're already doing it. So if the only issue is that there's nobody there, that ain't a big deal. It's frustrating when you watch it, but it's not a big deal in essence, because eventually you'll have a Sesko that's on, for example, or in the transfer window in the summer, and we start to bring in more players and different players, you'll have those players advancing into the box. It's a confidence thing. It's a knowing each other thing. It's a first season thing for, a few players there to sort of gel and get to know each other. So it's more of that more than anything else. So, like I said, there's a couple of sort of chances here and there. There was times where Watkins was played in. I remember it was sort of towards the end of the half. Watkins were played in, but he was offside, sort of yard offside. Still shoots, doesn't even score, misses, and then gets a yellow card for his troubles. Second half, then getting into the second half, this is where I thought we played much better second half. I think we upped the tempo a little bit. I think we were going and wanting to score, and quite sort of pleased with the start of the second half. A couple of crosses into the box, but unfortunately, again, that issue with no forwards in the box waiting for the ball in. But again, the intent is right. This is what we want. Again, I've said it already. I'm sure Carrick would have been saying, get the ball in the box. Players just need to make the movement. Players just need to get in the box and get on the end of it. If it's not happening, you just keep doing it. And it's, like I say, it's that consistency thing. So 50 minutes in now, into the second half, and quite a patient build-up at one stage, and then it ends up with a deflected Bruno shot from the edge of the box. So again, good play though. Obviously, a shot comes at the end of it, but Villa do block very well. 51 minutes in, so basically at the corner of that block shot, Bruno on the corner, and we all know what happens next. Bruno crosses it in from the corner, and their big man, Casemiro gets his head on it. Lovely sort of, I mean, we know that Casemiro is good in the air. Now, I'm not saying that he was great in the game per se, as in his actual job in the game, which is to be that sort of number 6 or that sort of double pivot to a certain extent with Meno. However, he's great in the box, innit? He's great in the air, should I say. He's great in both boxes. He's great in our box, he's great in their box, but more importantly, like I say, gets up, flicks the head on, and it sort of goes across Martinez. And Martinez, he can't stop that. He's a good keeper, Martinez, but he's not able to stop that when he's got up well, got up early, beat all the Villa players in the air, flicks off the top of the head, but nicely guided across Martinez into the bottom corner. And it's a lovely finish, isn't it? A lovely finish. So then, around 55 minutes, United players sort of pissing about in the box. Ahmad, after he gets sort of control of the ball, he's about to play it out, sort of plays it across the area, and a bit of a wayward pass to one of the Villa players. And then, unfortunately, Casemiro's had to do a bit of a last-ditch tackle at the edge of the area, and then it's a free kick. And this point, I'm a bit worried, thinking, it's Buendia, is it? Who's really good dead balls, but fortunately at this position, he hits his shot into the wall. 58 minutes then, strong sort of challenge from Casemiro on Rodgers. Rodgers has sort of played through into the sort of final third, and then Casemiro, I thought it was a good challenge to be fair, but obviously refs judged it to be a foul and gives him a yellow card. But I did think it was, maybe they'll think it's a bit of an excessive challenge. And I think it's more about, I suppose it's not the fact that he's contacted the ball, obviously, because you're allowed to do that quite clearly. It's more about, I suppose, the follow through, if you want to call it that. Now, obviously, with hindsight, you win the game, it stays on the pitch, it doesn't lead to a red card or anything, you're all right with it. But at the time, I'm thinking, Anthony Taylor, I don't think you're a big fan of Manchester United, are you really, to be fair? So anyway, got away with that one. 63 minutes in though, ball sort of pinballing around in the box. Ball gets played back out and back in, and it falls to Barkley. Now at this, and Barkley sort of turns, swivels and shoots. Goes in. Initially, it looked like it came off Onana. Villa's Onana, not ours. And it looked like it might have just come off his ass into the goal. And obviously if it had done, it would have been ruled offside because he was offside position. My other thought was he blocking? Was he blocking the vision of Le Mans? So again, we've had a few people come in. If you are in, please put your comments in. But after VAR, it's been judged that it wasn't conclusive enough to see that it had hit Onana. So the goal stood. Unfortunately, that made it 1-1. 6-7 minutes in there, Villa on the break, falls to Abraham, and I'm thinking Abraham's been playing well recently. He's been scoring goals. I know he hasn't scored a load, but he has come on and scored. I'm thinking this, I'm fearing the worst. Does drop to Abraham, and to be fair to Dalot, he just nips in just ahead of Abraham and sort of toes it away and sort of defends well there. So it sort of prevents that second goal that it could have been for Villa, and that could have been completely different for us. 71 minutes in, Bruno did a sort of slide rule pass that I keep saying, that sort of triangle button on FIFA. Slide rule pass through to Cunha. Cunha sort of takes it in his stride, sort of kind of like falling at the same time and sort of guides his shot round Martinez into that bottom left corner. Beautiful finish, beautiful pass. Gets Bruno back on that sort of road of assist, back on that road to hopefully matching and then surpassing Henry and De Bruyne's sort of assist record in the season. I'm not sure what that puts him on now. But a lovely pass, like I say, a lovely finish to match, and it puts us 2-1 ahead. 75 minutes then, and Sesko comes onto the pitch, and Mbeumo is subbed off. And I must say, I don't really think Mbeumo had the greatest of games. I think he had some strange decision making. I've found that a few times recently with Mbeumo. Not great decision making, wayward shooting, that sort of thing. Again, you can never sort of count against him scoring, to be fair, even when he's been off form or even assisting, because he has done that. However, I think it was the right decision out of the three that was on. I think Ahmad was causing problems. I think Cunha obviously scored and was causing problems. So I think the right substitution was Mbeumo, to be fair. It's like I say, Sesko comes onto the pitch. 80 minutes in then, sort of Cunha darts into the box, crosses the ball, but it gets cut out, but they don't clear it. And we've just got our first comment here now from Aaron. Big up Aaron now with the first comment. Annoying that some crosses were going in when Sesko's on the bench. Yep, felt the same, Aaron, that I'm sat here thinking, why isn't Sesko on the pitch when these crosses are coming into the box? Why are you doing this now? Sesko's not on the pitch. No, obviously you've got to do it. And you might have missed it earlier. What I was saying is that you've got to keep doing it for consistency so that there's a rhythm there, so that the ball's always being played into the box, regardless of whether your forward players are going for it or not. Because they've got to understand that that's what we need to do for consistency. And that's if that's how we want to play, and we want to get some balls into the box, we want to cross into the box, then there's no reason why Mbeumo can't get into the box and get on the end of some of these. So there's no excuse for it. You're playing number 9, false 9, whatever you want to call it, you've got to get into the box. Second comment there, then no crosses when he comes on. Yeah, I mean, I struggle to remember many, if any, crosses once Sesko came onto the pitch, which is just mind-blowing to me. You've got no number 9, you put crosses in, and number 9 comes on, who's 6'4", is he? And you put no crosses in. It's crazy. And the fact that when Cunha bursts into the area, it's a low cross with Sesko in the box, and he ends up sort of, obviously shoots, comes off one of the Villa players into the back of the net, but it's a shot from the ground. And it's like just really weird that those crosses weren't coming in. So then 84 minutes, Bruno plays Sesko in. So another lovely pass forward for Sesko into space. And you're just thinking, you've got the speed. Obviously, you've not shown a lot of aggression or strength, but you've got the speed. Get ahead of your man, take the shot. But instead, he doesn't take the shot. Looks like he's trying to pass to Ahmad, but then it almost looks like it's like a wayward shot, so you can't really work out what is. But I think it was a pass, but it was just a terrible pass. And really, if he was to do that again, I'm sure we'd have taken a shot on goal and a shot on target, hopefully. So for next time, obviously, Bruno sort of laid into him straight away anyway, and let him know what time it is. Then... obviously, it's 3-1 at this stage. Obviously, before that, Sesko's scored his goal and sort of makes it a bit more comfortable for us because, again, it is Villa. I know Villa haven't been playing very well, but they turned up today. They played better than I've seen them play, but they're always going to step the game up when you're playing against Manchester United, just how it works, unfortunately, for us. And then... sort of 97 minutes, because it was 8 minutes added on, people. 8 minutes added on. Villa had a sort of late sort of attack on our goal. I can't remember who the other player was, but there was a couple of players that had sort of run into each other and basically defended for us, really. So the ball came into the box, quite a nice cross into the box, played through, but they couldn't take advantage of it. So it ends 3-1. So what I'm going to quickly do, though, is just have a quick look at FootMob as normal. Just have a look at the stats of the game. So, as you can see there, we're on the left-hand side, they're on the right-hand side. So, quite close in terms of possession, 53% to their 47%. And obviously, you don't mind because the most important stat is this one, 3-1. So you don't mind possession stats, as long as it's nothing stupid, especially when you're at home. You don't want, especially when you're playing against a team like Villa, you don't want them to have 70% possession, for example, to our 30. But again, you'll take that if you win the game anyway. So expected goals then, so you got 1.07 there for us and 1.02 for them. So that was close as well. Total shots were 16 to their 9. We had 3 big chances to their 3 big chances. So you can sort of see there in terms of chance creation to a certain extent, or shots on goal, that it was pretty close. Just going to see if there's anything else that we need to mention. No, so that's pretty much it for that. So for me, before we sort of move on to man of the match and strong plays and that sort of thing, just want to touch on this. And just have I done that? Just showing us an update on Liverpool's game there. It looks like they're winning 1-0. So, and they've just leapfrogged Aston Villa. So we've done Liverpool a favour, haven't we, there? So yes, Arsenal, top of the league still. They've got that 9-point cushion. I've said for a while now that I think Arsenal have won the league anyway. City there in 61 points. And then we're third. Solidifying that third position, though, with 54 points there. So, yeah, what's that? 7 points, is it, behind City? I'm not saying we're going to catch them, but it's looking much better reading than it was a few weeks ago anyway. And then you've got Liverpool that have just literally, as I've just updated the screen there, moved into 4th position, and they've got 51 points, so they're 3 points behind us as it stands, and they're playing against Spurs. So I don't expect them to lose against Spurs. So I think it will pretty much end in that fashion. So they're level on points with Villa. And then Chelsea lost, I believe, yesterday, and they stay around that sort of 6th position on 48 points. So it just gives a little bit of a cushion. Don't know what you guys think. Put your comments in there. Do you think we've solidified now a European position? Do you think we've got that spot now? I'm not saying that we've got 3rd nailed down, but do you think we've now got European places? I don't know. We've got, we'll come on to who we're playing next anyway, but it's looking good reading anyway in terms of league position there. So, again, if there's anybody watching, please start to think about your man of the match and who you think your man of the match is. I'm just going to talk about a couple of players that I think had a decent game today, and then we'll come on to the big one, which is the man of the match. So, strong performers then. I would say Cunha's had a good game. He's had a goal. That always helps when you score a goal. Always sort of sways the judgment and the opinion there. I think he again, overall, I think he was a nuisance to Villa. I think he was decent on the ball at times. There's certain points where he's a bit frustrating when it came to the final ball, but a couple of good crosses into the box that I can remember. Really good finish for the goal, really good run. Really clever from Mbeumo. If it was, I'm assuming, it was rehearsed where he sort of, Mbeumo sort of stood offside and sort of occupying Villa defender, centre-back, who was sort of keeping an eye on him, but thinking, oh, you're offside, pal. You can't score. If you do score, it'll be ruled off. But Cunha's there. So Bruno's obviously switched on. Knows that Cunha's onside. Well onside as well, by the way, especially when you look at the replay. Well onside. And advances into the box. Nice touch into the box. Sort of looks like he's sort of falling a little bit as he takes the shot. And just slots in lovely. Just looking down there, because I've just seen what Mob are giving score-wises to the players. See if it's the same as what I'm thinking. Yeah, and just nice sort of run into the box, I was saying. Sort of looks like he's falling as he takes the shot, but nicely sort of takes it round Martinez with a shot. Again, Martinez can't save that anyway. And a lovely shot into the bottom left corner. So I'm going to put, although I conceded a goal, I'm going to put Le Mans in there because I think he didn't have loads to do. But I think when he did have something to do, solid again. I think that's all you need. Again, I've said it before. There's a few things I think he needs to improve on. But again, this is his first season with Manchester United in one of the best, if not the best leagues in the world. Coming from Belgium, not a lot of experience from there. Obviously, there's a lot of things around whether he's going to be the next Courtois. Obviously, I'm not going to say that too soon. There's a couple of elements that I think he can improve on, and I think there is the scope to improve on, because there's certain things for football players where you think you've either got it or you haven't. I think the bits that he's weak on, he can improve on. So, for example, positioning at times when it comes to a long shot or a shot just inside the box, positioning sometimes could be better. I think just a few more where it claws the ball out of the corner, for example, or it's just a really outstretched save in the bottom corner. But other than that, solid keeper, comes out for crosses really well. Talking about this today when it came against Everton, and he pretty much caught every ball that was coming into that box, and he did so well with Everton players crowded around him like a bus stop. Fantastic stuff. So when you especially, although it's not a lot to compare against, but especially when you compare him to Onana and how bad Onana is, it's a godsend to have a keeper of this magnitude who can catch a ball, as simple as it sounds. But again, instills that confidence in the back line. That's the main thing. Good with both feet, can kick the ball out with both feet and pick out a player. That's what you want. And to be fair, you don't want to mess about too much at the back anyway, passing the ball around. You just want to do the simple things well. And if you can do the simple things well in football, it takes you miles anyway. Maguire, I think he did well. Again, as always, pretty solid. Covering Yoro at times really well. Hopefully Yoro will sort of learn from that, a bit of experience. Heading the ball out, as always. Really good in the air, as we know. Good in both boxes. Comes out with the ball pretty well at times as well, which is another element, another sort of angle to our game as well, just to ease the pressure. And I think if you can have a centre-back that sort of brings the ball out, and I'm not comparing him to Rio, by the way, but brings the ball out like Rio did, which is another element, another angle, another way of sort of relieving a bit of pressure, another way to get your forward players forward and waiting for to receive the ball. I think that's really good to have that. I don't think we'd need to overdo it, and sometimes you do worry sometimes when he comes out, because he's not quite as good on the ball as Martinez, and we do miss Martinez for the sort of playing the ball between the lines. But it's good that you've got centre-backs that are brave enough to come out with the ball. And I think Yoro can do it as well. It's just a confidence thing. So I think overall Maguire played pretty well today. Shaw, again, I've been on his back at times as well, but for good reason. And again, I've said it earlier in the show, it's more about him not getting forward enough for me sometimes. And when he gets forward, put a cross in, put a ball into the box. Today, defensively, he saved us a couple of times, last sort of ditches. He almost did sort of like that cricketer pose when they sort of go down as like a triangle to sort of stop the ball. Anything to stop the ball getting through onto goal. And I think we really needed him from a defensive point of view today, and I think he played well. Casemiro, again, a goal's always going to cloud things, but I think he did all right today. I'm not saying he was the best in the world, but I think that header, and it's been the first goal to get us underway as well. Just a lovely header, just gets up well, as I said earlier, and we're going to miss that when he goes. We're definitely going to miss that where you've got that sort of presence in the opposition box who can just get up there, get his head on things. And as Aaron's saying here, Bruno was 16 assists. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was on 15 or 16. He's closing in on that Henry and De Bruyne. Is it 20 assists that they got? So he's just, if that's the case, then he's on 16. He's 4 away. And what is it? Is it 8 games left? I'm not sure. Is it 8 games left? Can he do it? What do you guys think? People that are watching later on, do you think? I've still said I think he'll do it. But what do you guys think? Do you think he's going to manage to get that record? At least match it? What do people think? Has he got enough games? Well, if today's anything to go by, without exaggerating, I would probably say he probably should have got at least 3 assists, maybe 4, but at least 3 assists. I think when he's played Sesko in, I think he should have done better with that. So that's an assist that he should have got extra. So again, you know, if he has at least 3 top games out of those 8, there's every chance. There's every chance. I don't know. Or 4 top games, so that it equals him, you could say, an assist in each game. But again, 2 assists today in 1 game, so who knows? Very, very possible. Very, very possible. So then I think I've probably covered everybody that I think's played well. Don't get me wrong. I think as a team, generally, I don't think there was particularly a poor performance, particularly. Again, I said earlier, Mbermo could probably have played better, but I wouldn't say that it was particularly overly poor or anything. But again, open to suggestions for people that are watching. Right, I think it's time to talk about man of the match. So again, I give people a few seconds whilst I drink my celebratory drink. Cheers, Bruno. Cheers, Manchester United. Cheers, Carrick. 3-1. Tastes great, that. Tastes great. Almost, well, it is red. So, you know, gotta drink the red drink for Manchester United. So, like I say, anybody that's watching or anybody that wants to put comments in later on, please now tell me who you think your man of the match is. I'm going to go with, I suppose, it might be obvious because there's only probably one name I haven't mentioned in the strong performer. And the reason for that is because it's this guy here. Captain Bruno Magnifico. Portuguese brilliance. Assist. And goals and assist. The Mr. Stat Padder, as some people call him. A lot of people say he's not the best captain in the world. Captains come in many different forms. You don't really get Roy Keane's anymore anyway. Or Steven Gerrard's, or whatever you want to call it. This guy's been a captain in a different way, leading by example, got his arm around the shoulder of a lot of players. He's always looks like he's coaching Sesko. Today, 2 assists, 1 from a corner, 1 lovely side rule pass into Cunha, did another slide rule pass into Sesko, probably deserved a hat-trick of assists today, but didn't quite get there. But as he is on the screen, celebratory. That's it. 3-1. A lot to do with this guy. There's obviously other players on the pitch that have contributed, but this guy, a lot of time, is the difference maker. With his passing, with his assists, with his goals at times, although it doesn't feel like he's scored as much as he normally does. I know a lot of time he used to score a lot from penalty spot, but even when he's... I thought he had a bit of a quiet game in the first half, or for most of the first half, and you can never rule this guy out because he's got a lot of energy, always can play 90 minutes if needed, rarely comes off anyway. I don't want to jinx anything, but rarely gets injured. And he can just change things just like that. It only takes seconds to create an assist or seconds to score a goal. And you can be having a bad game, which I don't think he had a bad game particularly today, but you can have a bad game, but then it can just turn the game on its head. And this is what this guy does. So let's hope he decides to stay, because there's talks of him potentially going. Right, so that is the man of the match. So like I said before, put your comments in. Tell me who you think your man of the match is. Does it differ to who I think? I've given it Bruno because I think overall game, 2 assists, changed the game in that sense. His first assist is to Casemiro, who gets the first goal. So it gets us underway. I know that they sort of drew level quite quickly afterwards, but kept going, kept plugging away, kept creating chances, kept passing well in the final third. So that's what it's all about for me. But again, open to what you guys think. So lastly, as I was saying, third in the table now with a bit of a cushion. I know Liverpool are currently winning, I believe, but we've got a bit of a cushion that we needed. That little bit of a 6-pointer against Villa, who were also in third before the kick-off of this game. nice to have them level with us. We're playing them, and then we actually get the 3 points ahead of them. So that's always nice. So coming up next is Bournemouth at Bournemouth. So that's going to be interesting. But it's a Bournemouth without Semenyo. Does that make a difference? Still a good team under Areola. Not sure what they've been doing recently in terms of results. They've always been a tricky team for us. I believe, was it 4-4 the last time we played them at Old Trafford? It's at their place this time round, but they have lost a couple of key players through transfers. So there was Kirkes before that. There's obviously Semenyo this time round. So can we take advantage of that? Again, don't know where they're at in terms of form, in terms of how they've been playing, but hopefully it's back on track. Hopefully it gives us the confidence to go away to Bournemouth. I think it's a Friday night game as well. Don't know if that's going to make a difference for us, but anyway, we need to go there and we need to get a result. So, as always, please like, please share, because that's really important as well. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new and haven't subscribed yet. And if you haven't, why not? It's free. But as always, thank you for watching Dan Talks United. United, United, United.